Hello, Sofa Squad. How is everybody doing? Hello. I hope well. If you could, please drop a number 1 off in the comment section. That way I know that you can hear what I'm saying. It is a Tuesday evening, although I was under the impression all day that it was Wednesday already. We got ones from Sherry and Blue Giraffes. Mama P, Weedy, I do thank each and every one of you. Hey, Tux, I hope y'all are doing well. Thank y'all very much. Thank you for joining. Hello, Tori and Indy and Emily. I do appreciate y'all hanging out on the sofa and keeping me in line. So like I was saying, I thought it was Wednesday all day long. Clearly it's not. It's Tuesday. So tonight, the reason we've gathered around the sofa tonight is we are going to be talking about the new docuseries, and I made notes. If you follow me for a while, then you'll know, like, I kind of sit there and watch and like make notes as I go. Pardon me. Excuse me. Hey, observation. I recorded the video for the main channel earlier today, so there'll be one on that channel, and hopefully it'll be out this week, but we'll see. So I like the docuseries. It's on Netflix. It's American Murder, the Gabby Petito case. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it or followed it when it came out. Let me turn this up a little bit. Sorry. But it's a heartbreaking case, right? It's absolutely heartbreaking. And so we're going to talk about that. Now, if you followed the case, then I'm just going to go ahead and say this, because you'll maybe get this where I'm coming from, or you can disagree or whatever. Okay, the way they laid this out, the information in this made it so much more like easily digestible to put it together, if that makes sense, right? So for me, when I watched it, I was like, oh, the laundry's, I mean, I already thought this, but it made it even that much more clear. Where I was like, the laundry's 100% harbored their son and knew what was going on. And when I put all those together and saw that part play out in real time, not real time, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my gosh. So, they've got the lawsuit going against the laundry, give them every damn penny, all the things, right? It was so heartbreaking, but to see the coldness to where, like, even when they're like, well, wouldn't you want to know about your son, like, as a parent? No, we're okay. Really? So, yes, if you're not familiar with it, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Well, we'll get to it. Oh, so that's that. Let me grab a sip of my Zero Coke. I agree with Wampo. Now, side note, any Dexter fans out there, the TV show? I binged hard yesterday on 5 episodes of the season. It's like the precursor to Dexter when he was a kid. Oh, it is so good. Okay. It is so absolutely good. So be sure and check it out. Hey, Stitch, how's it going? Kayla says, yes, Dexter. I know, it was so good. Yeah, the newest one, it's so good, y'all. Oh, yeah, the way Brian was found, completely agree. At this point, it wouldn't shock me if they knew exactly where he was at. Thanks, Tori. Oh, yeah, and on the Dexter note, yeah, the actor playing young Dexter is amazing. Hey, Emily, how's it going? Oh, Dexter Morgan. I know, right? Dexter's like the serial killer that it's like everyone seems to have a crush on, right? It's just so interesting how they make you the emotions you go through on the series with Dexter. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. Excuse me. Okay, I've already started, right? I guess I don't know what we're supposed to get like a major snowstorm here tomorrow and the next day. And I guess because I start my day so early, I'm just like, by the time it gets early, I mean, was like, okay, 7 o'clock is kind of the earliest to do a live, right? But even that feels so late. It's crazy. Okay, I'm just looking for my thing here to pull my notes up. Where's Gabby? Where's Gabby? Where's Gabby? There we are. Now, what I'm going to do is just kind of go through my notes like I did in the video, honestly. We can kind of stop and talk along the way. So let's just do that. Please help. The sound is off. Do y'all hear me? Hello, hello. Can y'all hear me? Dexter, I'm watching the new season of Dexter on Paramount. Can you hear me okay? Pardon me. Okay, so again, it's American Murder. This one's on Gabby Petito. It starts off showing us the 911 call, the police footage of the infamous 911 phone call, and the body camera footage. And this is where, you know, if you followed it, that person calls, they saw something and said something. Oh, it's a little inky. Yeah, maybe it could be. Hey, John, how's it going? So somebody saw something and they said something, right? And they saw him, meaning Brian, smacking Gabby and an interaction taking place. I guess the volume is great. So I'm going to turn it all the way up. So prepare it. This is turned all the way up here. This is this. So I got it turned all the way up on the thing. Now, if you're listening on headphones, it might be better, or it might be blowing your ears out right now. I'm sorry if I am. Okay. So the person calls into the cops say, hey, we saw this. They pull them over in the white van, and Gabby is completely upset. Wait, wait, you know what? Hold on. Please hold. I see what y'all are saying.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Do y'all hear that? Is that better? I just went and changed it. Yeah, it was on the wrong setting. I'm sorry. There's two settings for this thing on the StreamYards. I'm not sure why they do that, but it's confusing when you do it because you think you're doing it. And anyways, so thank you. I know enough people kept saying that something was off with it where I'm like, because you know how sometimes like one person might be watching on TV, but one person might be listening to headphones. When enough people are like, something's weird, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a me problem. Which is part of the course. Okay, so we see that's how they open it up, right? Okay. She explains, she's explaining to the cop, you know, I quit my job. We're traveling across the country. We're doing this. And this was a lot, especially when they released this. This was our first glimpse into what took place. Right now, we'll get more into this part in a minute, but that's just how they open it up. Okay, so then the docuseries is showing us the old home videos, which a lot of those I hadn't totally seen, and I love that. So we hear kind of the origin stories of Gabby and her parents' story, you know, her mom and dad, and they get divorced when she's about 6 months old. Very amicable breakup. And they're talking about, you know, just who Gabby is, this wonderful, bright light of a human being. She started drawing the second she, you know, had a crayon in her hand. And they show a lot of her artwork, and that's something I guess I didn't know about Gabby. She was an amazing drawer, just beautiful stuff, right? So her dad said that she fit in with the art community in high school, so on and so forth. And then we see, speaking of some of her former friends from high school, former people, just, you know, people in her life and whatnot. And some of the high school people are talking about Brian. They're like, yeah, he always kind of looked older than he was, and this and that, and whatever. So they go more into the origin stories of Brian and Gabby. Right? Brian gets a townhome. He meets Gabby. They basically each describe their meeting as like love at first sight. Now, Gabby's mom says that Brian seemed a little bit socially awkward. The dad says, you know what? Yeah, there's that. But he looked you in the eye, shook your hand firm, kind of a thing. Seemed like a nice guy. You know, you wouldn't think, obviously, what had taken place. Okay. So Gabby decides to move to Florida with Brian. Remember, Gabby, they're in New York. Brian's family, Roberta and them, they're down in Florida. This decision is very abrupt. And, you know, this is what happens. So they move in with his parents, which, you know, this is ultimately not a good thing. So Brian's mom, and this is kind of from Gabby's mother, is like, look, you know what? Brian's mom was nice at first, accommodating, but then it was almost like, and I think she said once everyone was comfortable with each other, that's when things started getting weird. His mom started to get just, her true colors were coming out. Okay. She was mean to Gabby. She was very needy. You know what she sounds like to me, honestly, like hindsight and then looking at this. And I don't know how you describe it, but like you see this on TikTok too, where people will post something like, I remember there's this one, tell me if y'all know what I'm talking about. There's this one TikTok of this football player, high school football player, and his mom runs up when they win the game and she jumps up and like wraps her legs around him in such a way that's like, you thought it was his girlfriend and people are like, that's the mother. And it's this whole weird thing. She seems like one of those moms that's like, and I'm not saying it in like a, adult pleasure way, but like unhealthy boundaries with the relationship. There's so much expectation. It's almost like she comes first in his life. She's going to get jealous over his girlfriend and attention and this. Erg says, and that's thank you. And the reason I'm laughing is because I've gone down that rabbit hole. Toxic boy moms. If y'all want to know, if you're snowed in tomorrow and you would go down a rabbit hole, go TikTok, toxic boy moms. Okay. Toxic boys moms. Y'all, it's cringe. Okay. Anyways, that's what Roberta comes off to me like, and we'll get to the burnout to read letter. Okay. So anyways, she gets weird with Gabby, and you can only imagine and do the math on that, right? Okay. So then a couple of examples are, one night at dinner, she gets upset because nobody's talking about her pie that she made. Then she up and changes Gabby's address back to New York. And like they show text messages between Brian and whatnot and Gabby, and she's like, well, I thought I was going to do this. And he's like, just say goodbye. The mother needed too much confirmation from them. It was like a definition. So anyways, a girl who met Gabby, her friend, I don't have her name right here, but she met Gabby off of Bumble, which is kind of like a place where you go meet friends and stuff like that. So her and Gabby, form a friendship here, and they become pretty good friends. They're hanging out, they're doing this, they're doing that. And it sounds like a good outlet for Gabby. So, well, eventually Brian's like, well, who is this you're hanging out? Let's get together. And she's like, we hung out, we went to the beach. And she's like, you know what? It was like, it was like a parent watching what you're doing. He kind of hung out to the back of them and just kind of watched over them. And she was like, it was just weird, right? I felt like I was being checked up on or something like that. So she was like, yeah, he seemed nice and all that, but there was something off about him. There was something dark about him. Yeah, she just sensed it. Something wasn't right. So she said that when she was around Gabby and Brian, they seemed regular. But when Gabby was with her, and like Brian wasn't, he was very manipulative. And then she recalls the story about her and Gabby going out one night. And Brian, basically, she had to turn around and go back, turn around and go back. And she was like, Brian had stolen my ID. They were going to like a club or something. They needed the ID. And Brian basically stole it. And she was like, it was so weird. It was so odd. It was so controlling. It was so manipulative. This is just the beginning, right? I mean, we see how this unfortunately ended. Okay, so then they talk about Brian and Gabby getting engaged. They're on a camping trip. They tell the story about, he proposed to her, he didn't have a ring, but when he was doing it or whatever, a firefly landed on her ring finger. And I'm watching this and I can see the dynamic, especially from Gabby, because to me, and I don't even know Gabby, right? Now I have met her parents, or I've met her, I didn't talk to her mom, but her dad I talked to. Well, Emily and I did. You remember Emily? They were so nice. To me, watching this, I was like, Gabby seems like she had such a bright light of energy, and it gives me goosebumps that I can see how, even with the signs, that she would see the good in people and how she would fall in love with Brian. And these moments like this of like, oh, he proposed to me, but a firefly landed on my ring finger and it was like just meant to be. And I could see this playing out, right? And then Brian being able to play it off enough around other people to some degree to, trick them basically. But then the real Brian coming out. And someone like Gabby would probably, well, anybody would with guys like that, right? But especially Gabby probably would completely trigger this insecurity in him. So, anyways, let's keep going. So, then, okay, so basically at this point, well, time out. So the mom, meaning, oh, thank you, Spicy, I appreciate it. The mom, Gabby's mom, is like, I didn't find out about the marriage until like Roberta's Facebook post. Like, this is like kind of the down low. Part of me wondered, did Gabby not put things out there because it was almost like she didn't want, like maybe people saw signs of that something was off and she didn't want people, you know what I mean? Almost like, I kind of know I shouldn't do this, but maybe, here we go. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. Maureen says he was jealous of her and wanted to destroy her. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Mary, how's it going? Okay, so then they have a narrator who like reads Gabby's journals to kind of bring them to life here on out. Okay, they start off with the we're buying the white van. This is the start of the van vlogging, journey of them and whatnot. And she's working to help fund this. So it's like they have this dream. We're going to do this van thing. We're going to go do this. She's working. She's busting her butt. Well, you already know that Brian, this is not going to go well with Brian. Hold on. Luke. No, sir. Mm-mm. Yes. So she's going to work. She's hanging out with this friend. Well, this really pisses Brian off. So eventually he calls her mom up, meaning Gabby's mom, and he's like, your daughter's hanging out with these bad people and doing all this bad stuff and blah, 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 right? So they show text messages where he's like texting. This is so cringe, y'all. They're showing these text messages of him texting her, talking about, I'm crying in the bathroom. I just love you. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy is a nightmare. Like the manipulation and the gaslighting and the clinginess is so gross and so disgusting. It is absolutely horrible. And I was like, I don't know. But it's like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? It's like she's in this situation. She's deep in it. She's living with him. She's doing this. God bless her. God bless her. So he's super needy. He's clingy. Now her friend that knows her is like, Brian. Wait, hold on. Right before they left. Okay. She says that right before they left off on this trip, right? She, meaning Gabby, starts seeing Brian for who he is. She's putting it together. Oh, okay. There we go. This is who this is. Well, he starts to see this. Bye, Emily. Thank you. And so, of course, he's like, oh, I got to reel this in, right? So what better way to reel it in of, okay, let's go. We're going on our trip. We're away from all this. Your job, your friend, you're this. You are my control, right? Or under my control. And so this is what they do. And they head off and they start their journey. Now, they start showing some of the unedited film, parts of the unedited film that she took and whatnot. And it was so funny because I'm sitting here watching it and it's like, remember, she wants to start this channel, Nomadic Static. She wants to, be a YouTuber, a vlogger, all these things, right? Well, I mean, me knowing like what it's like to edit and do that kind of stuff. And I'm just like almost reliving the beginnings of my channel watching this. And I'm like, God, they had the whole world ahead of them, Here she is. She's young. She's beautiful. She has this amazing personality. She's smart enough to know how to work all this stuff with editing and this, that, and the other. So, that being said, the friend that knows him is like, oh, Brian never liked the idea of the vlogging. And the friend theorizes that it was because he was afraid that the truth would come out, right? Of something would get caught on this camera, somebody would see something. And that part does make me wonder, because when they would show him, like in this unedited stuff, he seems so wooden, right? Like he would be like this, like pretend the camera follows me, like, hi. Yeah, so here we are. And this is how I describe them. Okay. You know, when a lot of times you meet like a couple, like a man and a woman couple, right? And say the dude, there's oftentimes a standard with guys where they're more reserved and more like, hey, how are ya? And she's going to do all the talking and be the social person, but it's like not weird. It's just how it is. Okay. So there's that. Then there's this situation, okay, where there was just something off about Brian. You could even pick up on it in these unedited shots of like, I can't put my finger on it. I mean, obviously we know now, right? But there's something off. This isn't the quiet dude smiling while the girlfriend films them. You know, okay, let's just do a little video here. Hey, there was something weird about him. Okay, so there was that part there, right? And then also too, looking at the two of them, I'm like this. I'm like, and again, you could immediately tell that if you ran into these two people with no context, clear you're going to be gravitate towards Gabby, right? You're just going to gravitate towards her. Like her personality is going to come through, and not just in the way of like the, oh well, you know, she's, you know, the bubbly one of the thing. Like there's something unlikable about him versus her. So I can only imagine that that would make him jealous and hateful towards her. You know what I mean? Because like, especially if you're paranoid about your person doing anything, like it was just never going to be good. Okay. So hold on one second. So that really jumped out to me about those parts there. Okay. The vlog thing. Then they show a video of retrieve from Gabby's phone where she's beat up and crying. And it's like the, hey, Chrissy, how's it going? It's like the opposite end of this, you know, and it does show it's like, that's the whole thing where social media is not real. You know what I'm saying? And this herein is a perfect reason why. Because all we would see is the Instagram pictures of her, you know, piggybacking Brian and this, that, and the other. But behind the scenes, there's a lot going on there, right? And you could, yeah, think about people that you even personally know, like they're like constantly pumping stuff out to try and like, I almost like promote something. Like, look at how happy my relationship is. Like, why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like toxic positivity, this kind of stuff where it's like, what's really going on? You know what I mean? When I was coming up, the whole thing used to be like trying to convince it. Back then it was mostly just, you know, for women, don't compare yourself to say Cosmopolitan cover or Vogue. This is when like things were very, very different. You know, those women are airbrushed, this, that, and the other. Well, now everyone has, you know, the capabilities of doing that from their phone. So it's a whole new level of that where nothing ever looks real, whether it's doctored up photos or a doctored up life, right? So, anyways, now we're back to the 911. Okay, so now the docu-series circles back around to this 911 phone call we talked about earlier, okay? And they're talking about that. This is when the person saw Gabby getting attacked by Brian. They call 911, they pull him over. This is always very hard and triggering because we are now seeing this infamous footage that was eventually released and went viral. And we are seeing Gabby being confronted by the police. Well, Gabby and Brian, they're in the van. She is very upset. And you know, she's basically saying, I have anxiety. It's been a bad day, this and the other. They separate the two. So Brian and Gabby. And she, to me, what I saw was an incredible, this part made me cry. An incredibly scared young lady who's off, way far away from home. The only thing she knows is the guy that's with her, you know, and relationships, even ones like these, are very complicated and layered. So while this might be sucky over here and not good, these things might be okay. And this thing might be more important than this and this at the time, and all this complicated stuff, right? And so what I saw was an incredibly scared young lady that had gotten into whatever was going on, but this layer, and I don't even know if saying protecting Brian was the right word, but oftentimes we see that, because to me, I felt like it was like this scenario right here, and I'll just say it and we can go from there. I don't know what will happen if I say what's going on. So therefore, I'm going to do this because I don't know what will take place with him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be alone also. So it's almost like it'll be worse if I tell on him, so to speak, right? Because she's like, well, I hit him first, or and she was hesitant, like, you know. And to me, and I don't know how cops are trained or this or that or whatever, you know, I'm very frustrated with the way this one interaction went, because there was Brian over here talking to the cops, doing the yeah, you know, yeah, she's got a lot of anxiety, yeah, the old ball and chain kind of a vibe, right? And Gabby's over here so emotional, so broken down. And I'm like, something's not this, all the things are wrong here, right? The vibe is what I mean. Like, this is something's off here. You can see it clearly. Well, I mean, basically, so in case you haven't watched or whatever, the cops essentially are like, Gabby, she's the aggressor because she's saying she hit him. She's saying she did this. The stories are kind of lining up. You know, they're asking her, well, what's this on your arm, and what's this, and what's this? And she's kind of downplaying it, you know, and that's the part where it's like, aren't y'all trained for that? You know, like, I don't know. That again, I'm not dumb. So I don't know. Um, yeah, I just think I just go back to that because I felt like that was the chance. That was the last chance right there that she had. You know what I'm saying? Of like intervention. Um, yeah, Culinary Crime says it's easier to take the blame and keep them calm. 100%, you said it much more perfectly than I could. Yeah, and RJB says there's a woman too. Yeah. I just got the vibe that she was kind of like protecting the situation in a way, because it was like that's going to be better than what's going to possibly happen. You know what I'm saying? So the cops, you know, to round it back out, cops are like, look, you need to, you know, separate for the night, this, that, and the other. So they take him to a hotel room for DV people, right? Of like, I guess he didn't have money or whatever. So they take him there for like, you know, DV situations and whatever. They take him there. She gets the van. You know, and again, that's kind of odd, but it is what it is. Now, the van is in her name. Please hold. But of course, the cops are like, don't, you know, get back together, and don't do this and don't do that, and blah, 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 blah. Well, of course, they end up getting back together later that night or whatever. Yeah, because I can only imagine once they separated. I can only imagine the thing Brian said to, like, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I could just, ugh. Yeah, it makes me sick. Okay. So let's move past that part, because I could literally just psychoanalyze that bit by bit. Okay, she's scared. Talking to the cop. Oh, she has to call her mom at one point. This is the part that gets me. She has to call her mom at one point. Oh, the pure fear to see that in somebody and know that what happened, right? So sad. So it switches over to Gabby's mom. Okay. And she's thinking she got this phone call from Gabby. She's super upset, talking about the argument. And she says that, you know, Gabby's mom says that Gabby eventually kind of blows everything off, right? This is not a surprise. You know, it's just, it's just unfortunately how it goes, right? Okay. Cops decide she's the aggressor, you know, in the night. Okay, this is a part that when this played out, for whatever reason, I either forgot about it or don't remember. 10 days later, Gabby texts her ex-boyfriend. Now, then it switches to episode 2. They talk very quickly in the beginning about Brian flying home to clean out the storage unit. Gabby stays at a hotel room to work on the YouTube video. Okay, the ex-boyfriend talks. So he says that he and Gabby dated for a year before Brian. They too had talked about doing the van life stuff. Gabby reached out to him when Brian was away. She divulges she has a plan to leave Brian, and he says Gabby sounded scared of what he would do. Let's pause there for a second. That part I totally had blocked. I don't know. I forgot about it. And so when I saw this, I was like, first of all, and this is the way I describe it, like, you know, when you look over a cliff and your stomach like clenches, when she's talking about contacting him, my stomach clenched for her because this is my mind. I'm like, oh my God, what if he sees that on her phone? Oh my God, what if he looks up on her phone, like from your computer to see what phone numbers are going out? Like, you know, I was so, I mean, I'm not doubt, you know, great, call him, plan your escape, right? But just that fear, you know, because when you sit here and think, and granted, it could be anything, right? It could have been like his shoelaces were untied. Like, what was a defining moment for this that transpired and what it did? But I was like, oh my God, what if like he was looking up on her thing and he was following this and just building this rage up because she's reaching out to the ex-boyfriend and this, that, and the other. I don't know. Donna asked Paul, do you think that was the incident that led to her being killed? You mean her contacting the boyfriend? I wondered. I really did because well, we'll talk about it in a second for that evening or whatever. Because the part where she is like, you know, oh, I kicked him out of the house for the night, basically. I mean, we'll get to that. Not really, not the house, but you know what I'm saying. Um, that part, I was like, what if he snuck back up to the van and heard her talking? You know what I'm saying? Like all the what ifs, and I'm not blaming her for doing that because you got to do what you got to do to survive. And probably, Gabby probably wasn't thinking like that it would ever escalate to him killing her. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, it's just so. Anyways, we'll keep going. But thank you for the question. Yeah, I'm on your page with that. Trust me. They do that. Gabby's mom. Okay, Gabby's mom describes a text message conversation with her where she says that she has the van to herself, and she convinced Brian to go camp in the woods. And her mom's like, "Are you breaking up?" And Gabby's like, "No, I just told him I can make more money as a single female van lifer." Ha ha ha. Okay, so when they wrote that, this is my thing right here. I was like, I can't see Brian being convinced to go camp in the woods by himself because even if he did that, in my world, I'm thinking this, he would be in the camp in the wherever camping, being like, why did she want me to leave the camper? Who is she talking to? What is she doing? He got jealous of her going to work and hang out with a girlfriend, let alone, I mean, to me, these kind of dudes are the types that like, if you're walking into a restaurant, when you sit down, the dude's going to be like, why were you looking at that guy? You might not have even known who he's talking about. Like, who are you talking about? Yeah, but the guy's like, the dude who set us, the host, they set us a table. Why was I looking at him? Are you serious? You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of a dude. So it's like that part made me so scared for her, especially when we learned she was also like talking to the ex-boyfriend. But even sending those text messages to her mom, I was like, what if Brian's able to look that up somehow? You know what I mean? Okay, so the woman, the first woman who picked Brian up on the side of the road when he was walking. Okay, she is on here, whatever. And she's basically recounting this. You know, she picks him up, he's walking, he has to go back to the campsite area. This is the part that I loved about this. She said, when I made the turn, my Bible slid across the dashboard and slid into his lap. Y'all, come on, right? I was like, you should have picked it up and slapped him upside the head with it, right? I mean, is there anything more symbolic? Okay, like literally so symbolic Oh, Mary brings up a good point. Worse yet is, why did he look at you? Yeah, so you can, I mean, you saw Gabby, right? Beautiful young lady. Um, Stitch says, tell me you need Jesus without tell me you need Jesus. Literally. I mean, literally, right? Yeah, Gabby was a beautiful young lady. So guys checked her out. And that infuriated Brian, right? Especially if the dude was hotter than Brian, which there's probably a lot of dudes that way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just being honest here. I mean, if you want to get superficial, now let's just be superficial for a second. And again, obviously looks aren't everything. We know this, right? But if you want to just go on that department, like, yeah, Brian's very lucky someone like Gabby went out with her. Okay, like 100%, she could have done better in that department, looks wise, right? She could have probably gotten most anybody she wanted, right? Especially with her personality to back it up. It's like, so it probably did completely trigger him, right? Now, I also don't think that Gabby seemed to be the type of person that she was superficial like that. Like if she loved somebody, she loved them, and they could, I mean, obviously look like Brian or be, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But number one, I'm just saying. Okay, so anyways, she picks him up, Bible slides off. Okay, now here we go. So she drops him off, doesn't think much of it. August 30th, Gabby's mom gets a weird text from Gabby talking about, will you help Stan? Stan is her grandpa. Abby does, I'm sorry, I keep calling her that. Gabby does not call her grandpa Stan. However, the mom's like, you know what? Maybe Brian's texting for her. She's driving, and that would make more sense. But this sticks out to the mom. We will learn later that at this point, we know he has already done what he's done to Gabby. He's just doing this to buy time, right? So then we enter into where the mom can't get a hold of Gabby. She doesn't get responses from her. She finally reaches out to the dad, her ex-husband. Have you heard from her? No, I haven't. I'm not getting responses either. Well, this is weird. So, you know what? Let's, reach out to Roberta. Some time goes by. We're at 2 weeks. Let's reach out to Roberta. No one responds. This part fires me up so bad. Okay. So Roberta doesn't respond to the mom or dad. And basically everyone in Brian's family ghosts them, even his sister. So Gabby's family is ghosted at this point. Okay. Now, again, some of this I knew, but the way this docuseries lays it out for you, it's just like, oh, I didn't know it was like that though. Anyways, cops start search, but things don't add up. So they go to the laundry home. The laundries refuse to talk, and they show this. And I don't know if I'd seen this part before, where they knock on the door and they're like, we're looking for whatever. And they're like, we don't want to talk. Brian is here, but we're not talking. So at this point, well, let me keep going before I say something. So talk to our attorney, number one. So then we see the cops talking to each other. Now, here's the thing. So you got New York cops talking to Florida cops. Remember, Gabby's family's in New York. Brian's family is in Florida. Okay. We're hearing these interactions, and there's the whole thing too of like where the New York cops kind of isn't, this is sus, this is weird, people can't get a hold of her. And now we're hearing that the parents are saying, talk to our attorney, our son's in here, and her van's out front. And honestly, the cops talking to each other at first, we're like, well, yeah, but that's all the way up in New York. This is Florida. And I'm like, what? And I mean, I get there's like, say, a business side to things of like, well, your jurisdiction's different than mine, and this is the procedure, blah, blah, blah. And the cop is like, look, I get it's totally weird. It's completely suspicious. People are allowed to go missing. People are allowed not to call people back. It's infuriating, okay? Because the fact that you're digesting at the same time of this guy's parents are telling you to talk to a lawyer. Her parents have been trying to get a hold of them for 2 weeks. Like, yeah, Stan is the grandfather. It was so infuriating. So one of the cops, they were basically like, I'll go back. Maybe it's like the supervisor or something like that. He goes back. They ain't speaking. And even when they're like, is there anything you can give us? Any information? As a parent to parent. Sorry. Nope. Brian he doesn't want to talk either. Hold on. And that told you everything you needed to know about those people right there. Okay. Everything you needed to know. Please hold. So the van, yep. So, and hey, Sherry, how are you doing tonight? So the cop's like, okay. So like, well, the van parked out front of your house, that's Brian and Gabby's, right? Yep, that's Brian and Gabby's. Okay, so it's actually just registered to Gabby. So we're gonna take it. I'm okay. Okay. Thank God they did, right? So now this part, for whatever reason, was way down here, whatever, but it switches back over to Gabby's mom. She describes the moment of getting a knock on the door or whatever, and then being like, so yeah, so we looked into this a little bit. Brian is back in Florida. Gabby is not there. Her van is there. The parents are lawyered up and will not speak. And the thud that landed in her stomach, because then it would hit you where you're like, what? I've been trying to get a hold of them for 2 weeks. None of their families responding. All we knew is that Brian and Gabby were engaged to get married and she's missing and they won't talk to us and we had to talk to their lawyer. You know, mother's intuition, not good. Not good. Gives me goosebumps. You already know, right? Parents hit the ground or hit the pavement running, searching. Okay. The case goes viral. Please hold. Sorry. The cops and detectives break the case down. Protesters take over the laundry yard. Police body cam footage is released to the public. This just wildfire. September 17th, a tip comes in about Brian's house. Something's up. Cops go to the house. Laundries officially report Brian as missing. Haven't seen him in days. They report him as missing. Cops search the house. They find the burn after reading a letter. Let's go over here. Please hold. Please hold your call. Oliver, can I help you? We're going to put this up here. It's on the porch. Why? The boys were tearing it up. No, it is, but before it was not going to be. Okay, here I go. Okay, hold on, y'all. So we're going to share. Let me make sure y'all see the same thing as me. Okay, this is the burn after reading letter. So this is a letter that Brian's mom left for him, I'm sorry. And we'll just read this first part. I just want you to remember I will always love you, and I know you will always love me. You are my boy. Nothing can make me stop loving you. Nothing will or could even hold on, I gotta make this bigger. Ever divide us. No matter what we do or where we go or what we say, we will always love each other. If you're in jail, I will bake a cake with a file in it. If you need to dispose of a body, I will show up with a shovel and garbage bags. If you fly to the moon, I will be watching the skies for your reentry. If you say you hate my guts, I'll get new guts. Remember that love is a verb, not a noun. It's not a thing. It's not words. It is actions. Watch people's actions to know if they love you, not their words. That part right there is real rich. And then she just quotes Romans 8:38, the extended version. And then down there she says, nothing can separate us, not hatred, not hunger, not homelessness, not threats, not even sin, not the thinkable or unthinkable can get in between us. Not time, not miles, miles and miles. Again, we're talking about somebody with some really screwed up stuff going on here. So Stitch, I believe the letter, if I remember correctly, was found in his knapsack Wait, so I don't remember because now I can't remember if it was found in the knapsack where the body was or if it was in his room. Because remember they found, well, we'll get to that in a second. It was one of two places. So please hold. Okay. Okay, so now episode 3, the last episode. Oh yeah, like super codependent, right? Like super creepy. Super creepy. And Indy says she'll get new guts. Oh brother. I know that part right there. Mary says, I think knapsack. That's where I think it was too, because like why would she have it at the house? Well, I think, well, we'll get into my theories here. I think 100% they knew what was going on, right? I think they were helping him run. I don't think they probably knew he was going to take his life, but I think they were helping him get a head start. I mean, clearly, right? Okay, anyways. So the search for Gabby explodes. The woman who we talked about earlier who saw him and picked him up with the Bible, she sees this going all over social media. She recognizes Brian. She calls the cops. Okay, so then they talk to these 2 vloggers, and basically what's going on is like people are like trying to find her, trying to find where to search, and like, look, if anyone was at these parks or these areas or this or that or whatever, during these times. So the vloggers basically explain how they narrowed it down and were like, wait, I think that car that we saw, we were there. And they look back on their footage, and sure enough, in their video of recording this park, there is Brian and Gabby's van parked there. So this helps to narrow the search in to where they need to be looking, right? And this is what they do. So they eventually find Gabby. She's in a fetal position. Her boots are off. It's a staged scene basically. So there's like what looks like it's a fire little thing going, Gabby laying there, whatnot, and basically the cause of death was blunt force trauma and strangulation. Now the police put a digital timeline together, and it shows while he was in Spread Creek area, he's talking to his mom. Okay, so yeah. He does all these phone calls to his parents, right? Then the parents contact an attorney. They send off money, secure the attorney, tell him to shut up. He's sending text to Gabby's phone and responding with Gabby's phone. So they're able to go down and just do all this digital evidence and whatnot, right? So on the way back home to Florida, he's using her credit card. He Zells money from her phone to his, and he's doing just like super bad, like conversations with the phones, but they can tell that it's seconds apart when they do it. And of course, pings and stuff like this. So it's very obvious that he's just sending something to her phone and they're responding right away with the phone, right? So there's that. Okay. So because of these crimes that he's doing in that way, they're able to issue a federal arrest warrant for him. But again, remember, he's missing, right? So 3 days before Brian is reported missing by his parents, someone reported that there was a car left behind at a park near the Laundries. This is like his favorite place to go hiking and camping and stuff. Well, it ends up being the Laundries car. Okay. So Brian told his parents allegedly that he was going hiking, like to get away from the protesters and all this type of stuff. So he was going to go to hiking. He took a bunch of equipment with him, and the parents thought he would return. Makes me sick. We'll get to my thoughts on that in a second. Remind me in the chat room about that part right there about it, the parents saying that he went hiking and all that. Okay. If I forget to bring it back up, let me just get this. We don't have much more of this part to go through. So, okay. So the flooding happened at the park, right? So they can't do a true proper search because the park is flooded. The public can't get in there. They're doing the best they can and whatnot. So once this subsides and the public can come in, the Laundries are going to go there and help search. So the Laundries will eventually find Brian. His belongings, remains, all this type of stuff. He took his life with a gun. They find journals, all these kind of notes, letter to parents, things like that. They had these like waterproof stuff. Okay. So basically, Brian leaves these notes behind with a story that him and Gabby were doing something and they're going, and she slipped and fell and hit her head and basically was slowly dying, and out of mercy, he killed her. You know what it was? Remember that guy in Florida? What was his name? The Disney killer that killed his whole family? Talking about him and his wife tried to OD on what's that purple stuff? You know what I'm talking about? And when it happened, so eventually, like, his wife was begging him to kill her, so he just finally did. And then she had killed the. I mean, he took the stand and did it too. Anthony Todd. We need to revisit that one. My, yeah, that one right there. This was like Anthony Todd diet version. Okay, yeah, the Benadryl pie. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. You would talk about a psychopath. That right there. Let's keep going. Okay. So again, they show the whole dynamic of all these flurry of phone calls that Brian had made to the parents, saying he tells them that Gabby is gone. He needs a lawyer. They wire the money to the lawyer, zip their lips. And I don't know why I kind of make these notes as what they show or whatever. Okay, so then we start hearing about how many people are inspired by Gabby's story, how many people got out of bad relationships because of this, how many people she helped, right? So the Gabby Petito Foundation has started. We did I did an update on them not long ago. We did a fundraiser on it, and the one for the main channel will have a fundraiser attached to it too. It's a great foundation. And pardon me, I'm sorry. So they talk about that during this whole time, and the dad talks about it, and this was the whole thing going on of like the media focusing in on the missing white woman syndrome scenario, right? And tons of cases not getting coverage, but something like Gabby's does and all this. And at first he was like, what? And then they start looking into it. Well, that's one thing that the Petito Foundation does, is it helps a variety of people to make sure everybody's story is getting out there and whatnot. Amongst other things, that's not the only thing it's doing, right? So they also help to back Senate Bill 117. And this right here is like something where the cops, well, no, I already closed it. The cops are basically like, they're required to ask about like in an interaction, like, are you safe? Or, is there some kind of like, let me look it up real quick. Hold on. We'll just read the first thing off of it. It says Senate Bill 117 Utah requires a law enforcement officer to conduct a lethality assessment when responding to a report of domestic violence between intimate partners, describes the protocol for a lethality assessment, requires law enforcement who conducts the assessment to include the results of the assessment with a probable cause statement and incident report, submit results to Department of Public Safety, develop and maintain a reporting mechanism by which law enforcement can submit the assessments. And it continues going on, but that's the gist of it, and they're behind this, right? Good night, Emily. I hope you sleep tight. And there's that. So those are the main notes that I made for it. Okay. So a lot of good. So let's end it with this. Well, not end it, but let's close that part off with this. Okay. So, a huge thing that Gabby had wanted was obviously to do the channel, to do the YouTube and all this type of stuff. So the video, now her one and only vlog, has like millions of views. To me, it was like, okay, she got that wish, sadly, after she was gone. But what her parents are doing with her memory and her name living on in the way that it is, and how many people it's already helped, is far more than like a viral, vlog video or whatever, right? So that part right there is amazing to me. That her light is going to continue to shine through this. Obviously, it's unfortunate that this happened. Obviously, we would hope that none of it happened, right? But here's what they've done to take this tragedy and turn around. That part is amazing. Hold on one second. Okay, yes, I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's revisit that part that I was like, hey, will you remind me about this? Because I'll forget it or whatever. So The hiking thing. This is my theory. I personally think that the laundries, just what we know, they knew exactly. I don't know if they knew exactly what happened at first, right? This is what I imagine took place. Brian calls them up. Gabby's gone. She ran off. I'm going to get blamed for this. I need a lawyer. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know. I think she's hurt. I don't know. He made something up on the fly to get their attention, whatever. I don't think Brian would have called them. I think he's too much of a coward and told them 100% I strangled her out in the thing. I think he probably made up some BS story just to get his parents like taking care of the situation like they did, hiring him a lawyer, sending him money, whatever, right? We'll get to that in a second. He goes home. The parents aren't stupid, okay? So even if they've been presented with this BS story by their son, okay, Gabby's parents start calling them. How dare they not even respond? They didn't even write the parents back to say, contact this lawyer. Not even that. Probably didn't even question him further much. Just wanted to accept the superficial level. You know what I'm saying? So then I personally think the hiking trip, all that kind of stuff, was them giving him a head run on the cops. I don't think that he said, Mom, Dad, I'm going to go out in the woods and blow my head off, right? I don't think he said that. I think it was like, I'm going to go camping. I'm going to need the family credit card. Wink, wink. Okay, son. The car's gone for 3 days. Your car's gone for 3 days. One of your cars, you don't ask. Oh, well, we thought he'd come back. Seriously? The car's reported gone. Come on. They were giving him a head start. And they were just CYA. They were CYA. Okay, well, now we'll call the cops over and say he's missing. They might have even planned to be like, look, just go to the hiking thing, drop the car off. It'll get reported, whatever. We'll report you missing, and that gives you time to go. And then Brian's a coward. He knew. He didn't want to be out on the run. Please hold. Right? That was the easiest thing to do, was just to go ahead and do that. You would have thought the true icing on the cake and cowardly to me is when he decides, I'm just kind of going through my thought process. He's going to take his life. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, whatever. At least give it to the parents to say, I messed up so bad. I was such a POS. I lost my cool and I extinguished Gabby's beautiful life. And I cannot live with myself for doing that. And therefore, I'm killing myself. I'm sorry, but I took your daughter's life. Instead of, well, she was begging for mercy for 3 days after falling in the creek. Because my first thing was, why not go? What? It's not what? Y'all are vloggers, for God's sakes. Use your phone, call 911. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing, it didn't even make sense. Oh, yeah, that's right. They went on a family camping trip. They were saying their goodbyes to him. They 100% knew. The sister and them might have been a little bit more left in the dark, but kind of knew, wink, wink, here we go. But the parents definitely, that was their goodbye trip. That was there. He's going. I hope that Gabby's parents get every penny they can from them. Does that change anything? No, just for the damn principle of it. This was supposed to be their daughter-in-law, meaning the Laundries. That was the part even when this happened that got to me. But now seeing in this context where I'm like, again, it's almost like the Megan Boswell thing. I just feel like with the Laundries, I'm like, you just threw her away like she was trash. Like you just immediately turned on her without even knowing, probably didn't even question anything. If he was like, oh yeah, it's her fault. She's really getting on my nerves, Mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, who know? I don't think he really said that, but I mean, being facetious, but it doesn't, how could you do that? But then also the way that the mother was described, even by Brian himself in the text messages, and then the evidence it shows of her being so super needy, you know what I mean? And being like that, the toxic mom energy or whatever. She was probably glad that Gabby was gone, you know. Yeah, Donna says Brian's mother was cheering for them to break up long for. Oh yeah, Marie says that mom runs that family. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Marla, Marianne says that. Sorry, on my eyes, I don't. If I get your names wrong, it's just kind of my eyes are tired. Uh, Marianne says the second they knew he had the van, they knew she was gone. No way anything else really made sense. Oh, 100%. What do you say? Gabby's gone. I'm coming back home, like, across the country with her van. Huh? It doesn't make sense. Leslie says, hey, Leslie, how are you? Leslie says she wanted to be the only woman, I bet subconsciously said, oh, 100%. There's a lot going on there with that. A lot. And that's the thing, too. Like, mother's intuition on this, you know. And I'm not trying to say the dad didn't know either. I'm not trying to put it all on his mom. Like, I think the dad knew too, but like, you can tell your kid. You know these things, and maybe not completely, but there is no solid excuse for a man to say, my fiance is somewhere in Utah. I'm coming back home to Florida without her, but I'm bringing the car. By the way, I need a lawyer because this isn't going to look good. Come on. Right? No. The fact that everyone would be like, is she okay? Where is she? What do we do? Like, I don't even know what he probably said. But again, it was probably, I mean, we see the story that he left, right? It was so stupid and so unbelievable. Here's the thing, Brian probably didn't have to offer much to his parents in life to get like, okay, son. He probably could have told them that very same story. When like, what'd you do with the body? Well, I just left her. Well, okay. We'll get a lawyer. It's like, honey, I would have been on the phone with the cops. And I get that your son, whatever, but it's like, you have to do the right thing. Like, her parents are calling us. Like, that's the part that gets me is like, our parents are calling us, Brian. What do we tell them? Oh, we'll just never talk to them again. Let's lawyer up. No, that's just that's how they view human life right there. Right. Yeah. Donna says Roberta probably has a shrine to Brian in her house. 100%. There was another time. Yeah, Marion says, there was another time with something else they absolutely knew he did that he either finally or never admitted. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Stitch says they blocked Gabby's parents. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Mac. I appreciate that. Hey, bigger on the inside. Yeah, sure. It was like pretty soon after that because he was on the phone with them for like an hour. So I think that whatever he told them, they went for it, didn't question it, but weren't going to be they. And if they did question it, it was probably like if he told them that story, she fell and cracked her head and begged for me to kill her, so I did. I mean, how that's not real, right? Like you would know that's a lie. How they've not gotten hit with charges is beyond me. Beyond me. What's that kid's parents who went to jail because he took a gun to school and killed people? I mean, these parents helped cover it up. to me at least, it feels like no different than them taking a shovel, just like she said in the letter, and throwing dirt over Gabby's grave. So if you haven't watched this, look, there's a different. You need to watch it, even if you know everything in and out about the story. You need to watch it because of the way they just lay it out. Right? If you don't know the story, please, you should be turning on right now. Right? It's a great docuseries. It's Netflix's formula. This is what they do. If you follow this from beginning to end, you probably know a lot more details of things and that and the other. Netflix has a formula. There's 3 parts in the series. This is how they do it. Boom, boom, boom. For me, having followed it when it like came out, pardon me, like the case, and y'all know about how deep. Like I'm not one of the channels that's like I'm gonna have the neighbor's friend on. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing wrong with those, but I'm not that channel. So when I say I followed it from the start, like you see the level that I go to with the cases, right? So on that level, yes, there's some things that it was like, oh, it was maybe they didn't mention this or that, but they put the most important things up there. And like I said, there was some stuff like the ex-boyfriend and this and that I was like, oh, I don't remember that. Like this is new to me. Maybe I knew back then, but I don't. This is new. So this one was laid out very nicely, is what I'm trying to get to. And again, I followed it, and for me, I was even picking up stuff. So, it's a really great docu-series. Gabby Petito seemed to be a really great person. Her parents seem very kind and loving people. And again, they're using her name and her tragedy to make a major positive change out there. So for Harkle, what is Harkles? Hey Peachy, how's it going? Hey Oscar, how's it going? Oh, are there real high DV rates in Utah? I didn't know that. Hey, Danielle. Oh, excuse me. So, so yeah, I really enjoyed this. Oh yeah, the orb thing. So Nikki just mentions, they showed a picture of the ants. The whole this part was really touching. The whole family went to where her resting spot was, and it seemed very healing. They took pictures where there was this giant orb. It gives me goosebumps in the picture. Um, and they were like, that was Gabby, she was there with us or whatever. The area, those that part of the country I've never explored a ton of. The parks out there look amazing. And where she was at, sadly, I mean, it was beautiful, right? Um, it's I don't know. Yeah, another crime moment. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this. So I definitely highly recommend 10 out of 10. Okay. Uh okay, so Sandy asked what book are we reading next. First, so for our members book club, y'all, I'm finishing up Foreign Faction. I cannot wait. You know what I think we're gonna do? I'll post it here. I gotta look at my calendar. We might do an impromptu members chat tomorrow evening. Um, to talk about a couple of different things because I do have some big news too about next month's book club and a guest coming on the channel that's going to be tied in with said book. So maybe we'll do that and then we'll do that. We'll talk about that then. But also Foreign Faction. We're reading Foreign Faction and the members book club. It's about John case. I've got like 40 some minutes left in it, y'all. I've been emailing with some of y'all. I'm all over the place with that book, y'all. Oh my gosh. Foreign Faction is wild. Okay. Why? I did not. If anyone's here, so we're gonna just talk for a couple of minutes about. We're gonna talk about Foreign Faction here for a second before we leave. If anybody is familiar with Foreign Faction, that book or whatever, I thought it was a book on how Foreign Faction did that. This is Jean Bonnet case. And I'm like, it's giving solid reasons why it was everybody else, right? So I've been all over the place with this. Um, So yeah. Yeah, so for those who don't know, the members book club, it's very casual, y'all. It's not very formal, but it's for anyone who's a channel member on both channels or a Patreon or right. And so really all we do is meet once a month and have a live chat and talk about the book. Now I would do some like either member videos or shorts along the way to talk about some thoughts and stuff like that and post them. But that's all it is. So if you're a member of the channel, either a channel or a Patreon, you're like automatically a member of that. So yeah, and it's just kind of it's been fun, and that's very casual. I did a book club years ago, and I tried to make it way more structured, and it fell apart. So this is just way more. You can read it if you want to, or watch a docuseries on it, or just come listen to the live chat. Okay, wait. So USA says, sorry, I'm talking my fellow actor. I worked on a Christmas movie yesterday last night titled A Christmas Tale, British Prince Meets American Girl Rescued. That is so cute. Oh my, remind me again, are you in California? Because yeah, I forget that they start filming all the Christmas stuff like way like early or whatever. I want to get back into doing like some extra work and stuff like that. I wonder how that's done these days. Oh, and congratulations on getting a Christmas movie thing. That's pretty cool. I know, right? Near Buffalo, New York, lots. Oh, that's right. Do you have what kind of, are you doing background work or speaking role or stand-in or all the above or? Yeah, I wonder like if there's like a background agency I could go to, or that's what they used to do here in New York. Here in New York, listen to me. Here in North Carolina, it's the fifth. Oh, I thought it's the fifth movie you've worked, Christmas movie you've worked on. Oh, that's so cool. Facebook groups for extra work, BG casting featured extra. Oh, that's so cool. One thing with it's I don't know how this works anymore, but like okay, so Patch Adams, for example, when that was shooting here, again, this is going back like 20 years. Like it was like you show up, you work, and like towards the end of the day, they might be like, okay, hey, we need you for tomorrow. And then the next day, and then the next day, you know what I'm saying? Hey, fine, great. One thing that makes me nervous about trying to get back into it is that I'm um, like I want to have a schedule to do that. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm gonna look it up though. But congratulations, I think that's cool. You'll have to let us know what it is so we can be looking for you. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go because I'm getting more tired. I can see look in my eyes. I'm like, okay, I'm getting sleepy. So I'll do a post for a member chat tomorrow night. We'll meet up. We'll convene. We'll talk about it. We'll do all those things. But thank you very, 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 very much for hanging out and going over this. I was very excited to talk with this about y'all. And that's a thank you, Andy. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Tori. I hope you'll have a lovely, wonderful evening. Y'all sleep tight. Don't let those bed bugs bite. And I will see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.